I melt during this video and just disappear into a puddle, then I wouldn't be surprised. It's so hot. Anyway, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be testing some more dupes today, so I'm going to do affordable makeup on one side and not so affordable makeup on the other side, and we'll see how they compare. Some of these things I've tested already, and some of these things, this is my first time trying them, but to me, they look like they're going to be a dupe, so I guess we'll find out together, and if that sounds good, give this a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel because I make these videos fairly often. Oh wait, hang on, I've just realised I've not done my SPF yet. Definitely needed today. Well, I mean, every day. Okay, so the first thing that I think personally is going to be a dupe is the MUA Pro Base Jelly Primer. This is a hydrating primer with hyaluronic acid, nourishing vitamin B5 and hydrating glycerin apparently. And then the Illamasqua Hydra Veil Primer, which I believe also has hyaluronic acid. Actually, have I just made that up? Wait, let me check. Is Illamasqua going under and I don't know about it? Because why is this primer reduced to £10 on their website? It's normally £34. Okay, so it doesn't have hyaluronic acid, but it does have microalgae, vitamin C and vitamin B3. It's also supposed to be like a hydrating gel kind of primer. And I've got to say, I absolutely love this stuff. The packaging is kind of extra. You get a little scoop in it, which just unclips like that. And then look at the texture of the primer itself. Wait, let me see if I can scoop a little bit. Do you see what I mean? It's literally like jelly. Let's do the high end on this side today. The only thing is, because of the texture, sometimes it genuinely like flop off of your face as you're trying to apply it. Also, I've just put on a bit much there. But as soon as you put it on your skin, it transforms from this jelly into a very hydrating sort of gel serum-y liquid, which just feels amazing. It feels so refreshing, and then it kind of dries into this sticky texture. But like I said, this primer originally is £34. Currently, I don't know why it's on such a crazy sale on their website, but it's definitely a high-end brand. Oh, it just feels so nice. Oh, especially in this heat. And then the MUA primer is £5.50. And the second I tried this, I was like, that texture seems very familiar. Can you kind of see? Oh, I don't know if you can see because it might not be, it might be too light, but it's also this kind of bouncy jelly texture, which again, almost flopped off my face. Just to me, they felt so similar. So let's see how they compare on my face. Okay, this one feels a little bit thicker than the Illamasqua one, but again, when you kind of blend it in, it sort of like melts into this more liquidy formula. I think the MUA one actually feels a little bit more sticky. The Illamasqua one is definitely dried now and feels like it's sunk into my skin. And my skin definitely feels a lot more hydrated on this side, but I love how it's hydrating, but it still has that like sticky element to it. And yeah, like you can see, it has a little bit of grip. Okay, actually, as the MUA one is drying, this one feels slightly less hydrating, but slightly more sticky. So yeah, this one seems to have a bit more grip to it. Maybe that's a good thing in terms of longevity. But I do think if you like the Illamasqua primer, you probably will really like this MUA one, and it's £5.50. An absolute steal. You know what? I don't have a foundation dupe today. I'm going to use the House Labs foundation. I've not used this in ages, and I'm just feeling like using it today, so that's what we're gonna do. I have got the shade 120 Light Warm, which by the way, I did post 2 different shade twin videos. I've done one for my fair skin and one for my tanned skin, so if you want to know what any of my foundation matches are, it's posted as a short on my YouTube page. Well, 2 separate shorts. So hopefully if you're ever watching my videos and thinking, oh, maybe I'm a similar colour match to Soph, then maybe that can help you. Though I do actually think at the moment this one is a little bit light compared to my tan, but that's okay. Just gonna use my sponge to take off the excess and just smooth it all out. Okay, wow, I got some of that MUA primer in my hair and it actually feels like hair gel. Ugh, don't get it in your hair. You know what, that is interesting because in terms of application, I feel like the Illamasqua side looks a little bit more glowy. The MUA side looks a little bit more matte. So when I was saying that that one feels a little bit more sticky, I feel like maybe that the MUA one might be slightly better suited to oily skin. I like both. A little bit of concealer. Maybelline Eraser in the shade 01. Yeah, that foundation's a bit light compared to my neck, isn't it? Oh well. I'm just going to take a tiny dot of this MAC concealer under my eyes. MAC Studio Radiance in the shade NC5, which I forgot to put in my shade twin video actually. This obviously for when I'm fair, my regular skin tone, but I'm just going to use a tiny bit under my eyes today using the Merit bronzer stick. Which initially I did think that the MUA new bronzer sticks were going to be a potential dupe of this. However, I tested them out and they're quite different. So I was like, you know what? I would not call those a dupe. Although the MUA ones are really good. They're just more pigmented and are definitely a lot more cool toned, whereas this one is got more of a glow to it and is more of like a warm bronzer. The MUA one's more of a contour. little bit on the nose. Speaking of Merit Beauty, one of my favourite products from them is the Flush Balm in the shade Lusitano. I love this stuff. I think it is so good. Very cute packaging, very handy for travelling. I wore this pretty much every day when we were on our holiday, baby moon. It's a really nice glowy formula, and if you want that whole kind of, oh, I don't wear too much makeup, I've got like a natural flush to my cheeks. This is the perfect thing for that. But it is such a pretty colour. It's almost like corally, peachy pink. So I've been using that a lot this summer, but then when I was shopping for the Rimmel lip stains, which are also later in this video, they were on a 3 for 2 offer. So on the Superdrug website, I was like, oh, I wonder what else I can get from Rimmel. And I saw these blush sticks and I just picked a random shade, which is the shade Caramel Dusk, and it's the Rimmel Kind and Free Tinted Multi-Stick. I was swatching it and I was like, that colour looks kind of familiar. It's definitely not identical. I think the Rimmel one is ever so slightly darker, whereas the Merit one is slightly brighter, more vibrant. But I've worn both of these separately, but I've not actually done a comparison on my face. From what I can tell, the Rimmel one is not as glowy. I'm gonna take the Rimmel one on, obviously, the left side of my face. Okay, so as you can see from this Rimmel one, they're not crazy pigmented. I mean, I think the whole Kind and Free range is supposed to be that sort of natural, glowy, summer type makeup. It's not like full glam or anything, but it just gives a nice little flush of peachy kind of colour. And then on the other side, I'm going to use the other end of the brush and do the Merit one. We will see how they compare. I love how easy this one goes on. You just literally just need a little like do-do-do, do-do-do, and it just blends so easy with the rest of your makeup. But that's the Merit side, that is the Rimmel side. Okay, the main thing that I'm noticing, in terms of colour, they do actually look pretty similar on my face. But the Merit one, like I said, has definitely got more of a glow, because this is more of a balmy sort of, I mean, it's called a flush balm. So if you have maybe got dry skin or you like something that's a little bit glowy, I'm just going to build up both sides a little bit more, because I love my blush. We know that. But yeah, the Merit one has definitely got more of that kind of glow. Whereas the Rimmel one, I would say, is actually pretty matte. I mean, there's a tiny bit of glow in there, but see if I can build up the colour. Yeah, it's quite matte, isn't it? But very pretty nonetheless. And if you like this kind of shade, then you'll probably really like the Rimmel one. Okay, so I wouldn't say that they're a dupe in terms of the formula. It's more of like a colour dupe. But again, I like both. Maybe not as close as I thought they would be. But that's why I'm testing them in this video, so that you guys don't have to test them. I'm going to use my Made by Mitchell powder today, which loads of people commented on the video that I tested this saying, Soph, you're supposed to leave the powder puff in the container like that so that it doesn't get powder all over the mirror, which makes sense. However, they were then saying, oh, then when you go to use it, you're supposed to just tip it up like this, and then the product is already on your powder puff. But I'm like, no, 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 it's not, because then it just comes out in little holes, and I don't want to put little tiny randomly spaced dots of powder all over my face, you know? I want it to be a consistent dip into some powder. Either way though, I still really like this powder. I just don't use the mirror, I just do this. Not the end of the world. So I'm just gonna set me face. I am gonna have to tie up this hair just temporarily, roughly, to get it off my back. Otherwise, I'm not actually sure I'll make it to the end of this video without having to leave the room and go dip my head in a bucket of ice. Do I have a bronzer? I'm hoping if I don't move that a bronzer's just gonna come to me. Yay, it worked. I'm just using a little bit of this MUA bronzer, which in itself, this is an absolute bug. I've done a whole video of me doing a full face of MUA. So if you're interested in that, have a little look back on my channel, because I think the whole face was like £70 for everything. Okay, so the next thing, which I think I found a dupe for, but I'm not sure, and the reason I'm not sure is because I've not actually tested this yet. I ordered this when I did a little haul from Sephora when I was testing a bunch of your guys' favourites. I didn't end up getting a House Labs blush because the thing that I was most interested in from House Labs is this pink toned highlighter, which is the Bio Radiant Gel Powder Highlighter in the shade Rose Quartz. So I got myself this instead with the idea that I just wanted to test it because I've seen this in Sephora. Every time I go in there, I look at it like, oh, that looks nice. And they did have another one that was more of like a corally sort of shade. And part of me is like, I wish I'd got that instead. But this is the House Labs highlighter. I'm just going to give it a little swatch. I mean, it feels so incredibly soft. And it seems like it's going to be really pigmented. And it feels very lightweight. I don't know why it's called like a gel, whatever it's called, because it's not a gel. It just feels like a regular powder, I'm not going to lie. Bio Radiant Gel. Okay, sure. However, as soon as it arrived, I was like, that colour looks like the Sephora one that I love. And if you have watched watched my videos a lot, you've probably seen me bang on in the past about this Sephora Colourful Luminizer in the shade Pink Flash, which is one of the Sephora own brand highlighters, but look at the two of these together. To me, I was like, they look very similar. So I've not even tried the House Labs one on my face yet, but just swatching them next to each other, this is the House Labs, this is the Sephora. The Sephora one maybe looks a tiny bit darker, but when you catch them in a certain light, they actually look very similar. So I'm just very intrigued. Also, is there anything else I need to try from House Labs? Because I've not really tried a whole lot. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it on this side of my face and hope that it brings me everything that I want it to bring me. Ooh, very smooth. It's a very silky soft kind of powder that doesn't actually have any, what's the word? There doesn't seem to be any sort of shimmer particles in it or like glitter particles. It's more of like a soft glow. Do you see what I mean? There is no chunky glitter in that whatsoever. Wow, yeah, that's very soft. I like it. It looks super smooth on my skin. Then I'm just gonna give my brush a little wipe on my hand. Nice, they're clean. And then the other side, let's do the Sephora one, which from what I can tell, I think the Sephora one's actually got a bit more glow. Okay, can you actually even tell on my cheeks? Okay, the Sephora one I think has almost got definitely more of a glow. This one has got this slightly, I don't want to say blue, is it a slightly cooler toned undertone when it hits the light? It gives that real sort of baby pink kind of effect. The House Labs one is more soft and subtle and it doesn't have that bluish undertone as much as the Sephora one does. But the Sephora one does have more of a glow. This one looks like it's more obviously sat on your skin. The House Labs one looks more like it's melted into my skin, if that makes sense. Oh my god, I'm so blushy. Can you even tell though on my face if I just zoom you in? So you see how the House Labs one, it's almost kind of, I don't know, I guess meshed with the rest of my makeup a little bit better. The Sephora one looks more like it's sat on top of my makeup. It looks more obvious and actually kind of emphasizing my pores a little bit more. But I love the Sephora one. I'm just going to blend it out because I've actually gone a bit crazy with the blush there. Can you tell a difference on my face? Probably not. No. I'm going to have to play with the House Labs one a little bit more just because, I don't know, it's quite subtle, isn't it? But I can actually see myself really liking that. I do like it, but it's bloody expensive. I think it was like between 30 and 40 quid. Like it was not a cheap highlighter. The Sephora one I think is around like between 12 and 15. So you're definitely saving some money there, but I can't really tell the difference, to be honest. So the next thing that I think could be a potential dupe, but again, I've not compared these side by side yet, but I've seen so many people say that the Rare Beauty Brow Gel is their favorite brow gel ever. It keeps their brows stuck up, like it's got a super strong hold, and a lot of people love this. And then more recently on TikTok, I've seen people saying the same kind of things about the L'Oreal Brow Lamination Gel, the 24-hour one. And I've tried both of these separately, really like both of them separately, but I've not actually compared them side by side, so let's give it a go. They're both a clear brow gel. This one is the Rare Beauty and this one is the L'Oreal. And as you can see from the formula, they are both that kind of sticky, almost slightly thick clear brow gel. For this, I guess I'm gonna have to stick my brows up quite a lot. I want to see if they drop throughout the day. My eyebrows are not particularly stubborn because the hairs aren't like super wiry, and for like a daily basis I don't tend to stick them up anyway. I'm gonna make my brows a little bit fluffier today. So that is the Rare Beauty side, and then the L'Oreal side. I'd say the L'Oreal one feels slightly thicker. So I've applied both. I'm just gonna give them both a little sort of push just to almost like flatten them out a little bit, and we'll see how well they last. Okay, eyebrows looking a little bit wild. And then I was going to use the L'Oreal brow pen, but you know what I've realised on these L'Oreal brow pens? I have a few different shades and they don't, unless I'm being really dumb, they don't say the shade name on the actual product. They have it on the box. So I don't know. I think this is the darker one. So I'm just going to add in a few extra little hair strokes with this. The stickiness is actually kind of affecting the pen. Maybe I should have done the pen first. Shit. Because I think the stickiness of the brow gel is kind of like clogging up the brow pen a little bit. Because normally this comes out really easily. Oh god, I just shook it and now there's product everywhere. That'll do, I think. And then I'm just gonna brush them both up one last time. I've gotta say, guys, L'Oreal one feels like it might have a little bit more hold, but we'll see after a few hours, I guess. These are the brows as they currently stand. My next potential dupe, these two. I have seen so many people rave about the One Size setting mist. I had never tried this before. And it even says on the little label that's attached to the lid, waterproof. And I got the mini size one because again, I thought I'll get the mini and then if I like it, I can get the full size one. So So the One Size On Till Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray versus the L'Oreal Infallible 3-Second Setting Mist, which says that it's also, I think this is also supposed to be waterproof. Yeah, waterproof, sweatproof, no transfer on fabric, micro diffusing, blah, 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 36 hours, no transfer. They have very similar claims. You know what? The L'Oreal one does work really well, but it does stink of alcohol. It's got quite a strong smell. It actually just smells like straight up hairspray. I actually compared them on my TikTok. I compared the L'Oreal hairspray ingredients to the setting spray ingredients because I was like, are they just the same? They're not. They have similar like fragrances in them, so they smell the same, and some similar ingredients, but they're not the same. So I'm gonna take an eyeshadow, but let's take some on this hand and then let's take some on the other hand. You know what? I've not even tried the One Size one yet. Again, I ordered it from Sephora, so that's those two there. Let's see how this one smells and if it also, can't smell it. Let's just spray it on my hand, I guess. Okay, it's a very similar spray to the L'Oreal one. I mean, it still definitely has that alcohol kind of smell, but it smells more fresh, I would say. Whoa, that dried immediately. I'm just gonna do a bit more for good measure, because that's definitely wet, but then, whoa, it's evaporating so quick. And the L'Oreal one, okay, this one comes out more wet, can you see? And it also just straight up smells of the L'Oreal hairspray. I cannot believe how matte that is. Like, that is a matte setting spray if I ever saw one. Actually, probably the most matte setting spray I've ever seen. Oh, wow. Okay, it like instantly evaporates. Wow, that's very strong smelling too, but like a bit more cucumbery for some reason. Okay. The L'Oreal one, as you can see, comes out more wet. Oh my god, ow. My eye. Also, just from what I know, the L'Oreal one almost leaves this kind of like shiny film on your skin. The House Labs one literally just seems to be like completely matte, whereas the L'Oreal one, can you see it leaves like a little bit of a glow and a little bit of like a film. These are both dried, and I would say for that reason they are not dupes of each other in terms of the finish, because the L'Oreal one has got this kind of glowy, it's got like a slightly glowy finish, whereas the House Labs one is completely matte, and it's almost kind of changed the texture of the eyeshadow. L'Oreal one is very confidently on there, like it really does a good job. Hang on, my hands are sweaty, that does not help the test. And then the House Labs one, same. But that one is completely matte. I can't decide. Like, I think for me, I slightly prefer the finish of the L'Oreal one because it gives a little bit of a glow. But I also kind of rate how the House Labs one doesn't disturb any of what you've already done. Like, it doesn't look really any different. I'm so intrigued to see if there's going to be a difference in lasting power on sides of my face. I've got to say that this one is a lot more pleasant. For my lips, I've got two potential dupes here. So recently on my channel, I've tried both of these things. I have tried the Huda Beauty lip contour stains, and I've tried the Rimmel lip ink pens, which are a similar kind of concept. People were saying, whoa, Rimmel was quick with that dupe. These actually launched before the Huda Beauty ones. I think these came out in maybe like February, whereas obviously the Huda Beauty ones are a lot more recent. I think these two shades are going to be the closest in terms of colour match. So we will go for the Huda Beauty Rosewood Lip Contour Stain and the Rimmel lip ink pen in the shade Très Chic. I've tested these separately, but I've not done an actual side by side, so I'm very intrigued. I'm going to obviously eat food with them, see how they last throughout the day. I kind of bashed the Huda Beauty ones at the start, but now that I've started using this in a different way, I will now put it on and then immediately blend it. I've actually been reaching for this a lot, in particular the Rosewood shade. It's still going. I did see Huda posted a video saying that they have like over 200 uses or something, but I still think that they should add more products. Like, if a drugstore brand can have almost double the amount of product, then surely Huda Beauty can have almost double the amount of product, you know? The applicator's a lot nicer on the Huda one compared to the Rimmel. Let me quickly show you. I don't want to dry them out, but the Rimmel one is literally just like a felt tip pen. The Huda one is like a soft, fluffy kind of felt tip. So first, let me give them a swatch. That is the Rimmel one there. That's the Huda Beauty one next to it, which is definitely lighter. I'm just going to quickly swatch my other shades. Okay, slightly frustrating. The shade matches don't perfectly match, but I'm still going to give it a go. Maybe if I just blend them out, they will work. So Huda one on this side. If you've forgotten to store it tip down, shake it like this and then it kind of like boosts all the product to the bottom. Yeah, as much as I don't love how there's a small amount of product in here, definitely prefer the applicator, and I keep putting it on days where I want my lips to last, and it genuinely does last for most of the day. But I have just been putting it on as a lip liner like this and then like using a balm. Okay, so that is the Huda side, and then the Rimmel side. Okay, cool. Actually, on the lips, they don't look crazy different. Phew! Okay, actually, the Huda one is a bit more purpley. The Rimmel one's a bit more pinky, but I think I can make it work. And I'm just trying to kind of blend them as I apply. That's both of them applied. They go on quite similarly. I would say that the hooded one is maybe a tiny bit easier to blend, but in terms of formula, they do actually feel pretty similar. Let me just do a little... Interesting. Okay, it's upside down. Wait, hang on. I kissed them like this. So that side is the Rimmel one, that side is the hooded one. There's a tiny, teeny, weeny bit of transfer on the Rimmel side, but literally barely anything. But watch this space. We'll see what my lips look like at the end of the day. Would you be able to spot the dupes on my face right now? Because I don't think I would. I am going to do my eyes, by the way, but I'm going to film that for like a short / TikTok, Instagram reel. So you'll see that at some point, but I'm probably going to come back after doing my lips with some crazy eye look. The final thing that I'm going to test as my dupe is this, and I was in Superdrug just having a little browse, as I do on a very regular basis at the moment, and I saw these from Revolution, which are the new gloss sticks, and I went for the shade Toffee Nude. They did have another nude shade, but it was out of stock, so I went for this one because I thought, oh, that still looks nice. But the packaging immediately reminded me of the Fenty Beauty, what are these called again? Gloss Balm Sticks. It's a different shape obviously, but the actual packaging, it's so similar to the Fenty Beauty ones. However, my only issue is the colour match doesn't seem to be an exact dupe for any of the Fenty ones that I've got. I've got the shades Fenty Glow and Is It Fussy. I love these Fenty ones. The only thing I don't like about them is I don't like the smell. I don't know why. The classic Fenty lip smell I'm just not a fan of. So that is the shade Fenty Glow. Let's actually test the Revolution one next to it. Yeah, this one looks a bit darker. So this is Revolution in Toffee Nude. Holy crap. That literally just swiped on so easily. That is incredibly pigmented. And the formula feels very similar. And then I've also got the Fenty in Is It Fussy. My only issue is this isn't going to look like a dupe on my lips because the Revolution one is a lot darker. Let me just check my Fenty stash. One sec. Okay, wait. I also own this one, which is called Spice Cold from Fenty. And to me, this looks like it might be a better colour match. So I'm just going to swatch that. Oh, well, that one looks more similar. Maybe it's supposed to be a dupe of this shade. So this is the difference between the two shades. This is Revolution, this is Fenty. I guess I'm going for a bold lip today. I'm gonna do Fenty on this side. I love how moisturising these are. Oh, a chunk of that one just came off. Actually goes really nicely with the Huda Beauty colour, but damn, that is a bold lip on me, isn't it? They do literally just melt. Maybe even more so today because it's 30 degrees when I'm filming this, but they do kind of melt onto your lips. And then the Revolution obviously on the other side. Oh my god, okay, the Revolution one melts too much. Like, it literally smushes as you apply it. Like, I don't need to apply anymore. I just touch my lips with it and it's already done. I reckon the Fenty one is ever so slightly more purple toned. The Revolution one is ever so slightly more of like a reddy brown colour in terms of the formula. They do feel similar. The Fenty one's got a bit more of like a gloss to it. Like, it feels a bit more slippery. The Revolution one feels like it's a little bit less glossy, ever so slightly more sticky. If you're getting a Revolution one, be very careful because it literally like smushed as I put it on my lips. So they melt very quickly. Do not leave this in the sun. Not that you would, but like, you know, don't leave it in a bag in a hot car or something because you'll probably come back and it will be in a puddle. I would definitely say it's a pretty good dupe. The Revolution one, it's got a slight sweet smell. I actually prefer the smell of this one compared to the Fenty, but there you go. We'll see how they last. Right, I'm gonna go do my eyes. I'm gonna film my little short. Hopefully it will be up when you're watching this video so you can look back and see how I did it. I mean, I did say that I was gonna come back with some crazy eye look. I think it's been just over an hour since I filmed those last clips and I already have some updates. I am gonna need to powder my face because in my TikToks that I'm filming, I look so shiny, but particularly on this side of my face. And I think it's because one, I'm sweating, and two, the L'Oreal spray was already glowy, so I feel like I already need to powder. I don't know if it's because it's so hot today, but why have both my eyebrows already dropped? Do you see how messy my eyebrows look? Because both sides are starting to fall down. I actually think the Rare Beauty side is dropped even more, but it's weird because they feel like kind of solid, but definitely dropped. I'm just gonna give them one last little push and then I will check in at the end of the day, but so far they're both letting me down. But just from the mists, just literally from the past hour and it being a hot day, I can say I prefer the one size mist. I'm actually now just gonna powder both sides of my face just so that they're up to date, just so that they look a bit more even, and then we will see at the end of the the day which side stayed that way. Also, I had a little snack and I got some crumbs in my lipstick, so I had to like blot them with a piece of kitchen roll, so I just did like one blot to get the crumbs off. And actually I much prefer how it looks with what's left behind. Everything's still there, but it's not as thick, you know. Okay, sorry about that bird, the windows are open, but just I want to give you a check-in of my makeup because I've had my dinner. We had steak with chimichurri and some homemade chips, some peas, and the chimichurri was quite oily. Everything has come off my lips. However, both lip stains are still definitely there around the outsides. Like, I've still definitely got a lip line there, so I would say pretty on point in terms of longevity. And then something that I've noticed is this side of my face is not holding up as well as this side of my face. In terms of how everything's sort of sitting, I feel like this side, wow, this is really up close and personal. I feel like this side, it's settled into my smile lines more. It seems to be breaking up a bit more, like round my mouth and round my nose, and my under eyes as well seem a little bit more wrinkled here, and I'm a little bit more oily on this side, whereas this side still looks amazing. And I have more under eye wrinkles on this side, but this side looks worse. I think the setting spray has definitely done its job because it's looking better around here in general and less oily. So, oh, and then finally for my eyebrows, I actually think the Rare Beauty brow thing has dropped more than the L'Oreal. Yeah, the Rare Beauty one has fallen. Definitely fallen. There you go. So I'm going to answer a question of the day. As always, if you've got any questions for me, leave it down below with the hashtag question of the day. Today's question comes from Danae Barclay. Let me start that again. Danae Barclay 6581. What region would you say your accent is from? I love listening to you talk, but my main points of reference for UK accents are you and the Welsh twins, lol. You know what? I feel like my accent isn't far off of the Welsh twins. I think it's just like a general, I don't really know if it's like typical of anywhere. I feel like a lot of people in the south of England sound a lot like me, and you know, like I sound quite similar to the Welsh twins, maybe. Maybe, do I? Actually, maybe not. I feel like a lot of people in and around London have a similar accent to me, but then it's not a proper like South London accent. I would say James has got a more like South London accent. Does he? I don't know. Now I'm like questioning myself. It's so funny though, when you go back on some of my old videos, I used to sound a lot more posh. I think it was just the people that I went to school with, like I picked up accents from them. Whereas now I feel like it's kind of toned down a little bit, but I don't know what my accent is. Because I would say London, but then even in London there's such a variety of accents and I don't feel like I particularly fit a specific one. I'd say like a mixture of just general South England. Am I wrong? What does my accent sound like to you? Boring, probably. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I will link everything down below. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!